can have a goal or a desire or a plan, but it requires some work.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome again. Welcome back. So glad to have you guys tuning in. Listen, you all have been emailing and putting comments and tweeting and tagging and leaving even comments about the book and these videos, these series of videos that we've been doing all year long. We've had folks that have come on and talk about your ideas, your businesses, talk about your family and how to manage your life and how to reinvent your life. And we've had folks to come on and talk about your career and what that looks like, career advice and career transition and reinvention with that. And we're going to keep that conversation going. We're going to go in a whole nother direction today, though. We're going to focus on health. And I've got a great friend of mine on here with us today. What's up, Emmy? Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and so guys, listen, you got to go get the book. Temporary Assignments is a book, is a conversation. It is a book of wisdom about reinvention. And in every phase of our life, we are either in a transition or on our way into a transition or coming out of one. And so I wrote this book, Temporary Assignments, with you in mind. There were journeys and experiences and moments where I bumped my head and even moments where I got it right, that I wanted to give people a balanced, biblical, basic perspective on how to navigate transition, how to keep your emotions in check, and what does it look like in terms of your capacity, even physically, which is what we're going to focus in on today. So, Emmy, glad to have you on. Thank you for taking the time to be on today, and I'm excited about this conversation because I think it's going to be so much wisdom that you're going to be able to share with everybody. So, really fast, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do full time.
So yes, like you said, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share my story. This is actually one of the first times that I get to speak on this level. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. I am a personal trainer out here in Los Angeles. Haven't always been a personal trainer. It's a relatively new career for me. It's about 2 years now, 2.5 years in the making. And you'll hear more about that, but I'm very excited to share all this with you.
Yeah, so you said this is a pretty new career, and we talked a little bit earlier before about another career that you had and sort of how you migrated. You know, everybody may not know, but you're actually a former Olympic level figure skater, and you did that, you know, really through your teen years and all of that. But let's talk a little bit about that season where you were just kind of sitting and at a desk and answering phones and pushing paper and all that stuff. To talk about what that looked like, you know, so you went from your childhood, very active, very engaged, very healthy. You saw that modeled in your family, which is not the reality for a lot of people, but fortunately for you, it was. And then you kind of hit this point where you went another direction. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So when you say Olympic level, I was on route that way, but I decided to go the college route. I said, listen, I need to get my education, and you have to choose one or the other, right? Because you either have to put in a lot of time into training and putting that aside, and I didn't want to at the time. So I stopped before I was headed there.
Wait a minute, Emmy. Hold on. Don't undersell yourself though, because you were on the team for a country, so you can't say like you went another direction.
Oh, for Bulgaria. So I was originally born in Bulgaria. When I was 5, moved to Canada, and then transitioned over to Western Canada for work, and then down to the States, and moved around a little bit in the States as well. So in college, actually, I studied honors specialization in urban development. Yes, very, very different from what I'm doing now, but I loved geography. I loved to see how cities worked. I did enjoy it, but I did fall into that as well. It wasn't something that I got out of high school and I said, oh, I want to be a urban developer. I got into college under a geography, and I said, okay, well, what can I do with this? And I looked around, and that just grabbed my eye, and I ran with it, and I loved it. Coming out of college, I got a job in insurance. Again, really no smooth transition into it. A friend of mine said, wow, you would be really good at this. And I said, well, I've never thought about insurance. You know, I don't even know how insurance works, let alone sell it to somebody. So I went in for the interview. They loved me. And I started doing insurance. I did that for 2.5 years. I was good at it. It gave me a lot of opportunities, gave me the opportunity to move out west to Calgary. And I did all of Western Canada, traveled around for insurance sales, which was great, home and auto insurance. But it wasn't fulfilling for me. Again, ever since I was little, I was in sports. I was in soccer. I was in dance. I was in skating, all these different sports. My dad was a volleyball player. My sister was a tennis player. She actually went to UCLA on a tennis scholarship. So, you know, it was instilled at a young age, sports, and I loved it. It was a great outlet for me. But I left that aside, thinking that, you know, I need to get a career. I need to get a good corporate job where I'm making good money and a good living. That's what I need to do. Not what, you know, not necessarily, I'm going to learn to love it, but it's what I need to do. Yeah. And yes, after doing insurance for 2.5 years, I had that moment of, I love certain aspects of my job. I love the face-to-face contact with people. My day is never the same. I didn't necessarily have a 9 to 5. My hours were different. But there were certain parts of my job that I just didn't like. And when my day would start, I wasn't happy about going to work. I would dread it. And there were very few days that I would actually be like, I'm getting up in the morning and I'm loving what I'm doing. I have to kind of, all right, this is what I got to do. Another day. When's the weekend? So I can relax. It was like I was just doing it to get it over and done with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
a lot of people are in that space in their life where, you know, TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday, versus being able to really wake up every day and be passionate about what you're going to do that day. So, yeah.
Exactly. No, and that was a huge, huge decision for me. Even my own parents, they have that Eastern European mindset is you get a good job, you stick with it, and you stick it through for 30 years. You know, it had good benefits, everything that parents would want you to have. I had it. And here I am telling them, listen, I want to quit my job and I want to be a personal trainer. Now, when you say personal trainer, what does everybody think? You know, everybody thinks the Equinox, 24-hour fitness, you know, that person who's doing this as a kind of part-time job on a part-time basis. They just really work out a lot and they work other people out, right? Generalization, right? I wanted to do training as a career, as my only career. And what does that entail? Well, yes, I have been a figure skater for 15 plus years. I've been actually in the gym setting with a personal trainer since I was 10 years old. But I didn't see it as a training. It was, you know, obviously when you're 10 to about 15, it's more, you're just having fun. It's just another sport basically, but they were doing sport specific exercises, like just, you know, jumping over hurdles, no weights. It's not good to really lift a lot of weights when you're young. So it doesn't stunt your growth or anything with your kind of joints, anything to do with that. However, I was always with someone there pushing me and okay, I go to figure skating, then I go to work out. And that was just how it was. That was the normal for me.
So really, really fast before we go too far past this season of life that you were in, tell me, you know, when you were doing the insurance, tell me what's happening with regards to your fitness and your health then. I mean, are you still, you know, eating very good and your energy is great and you're working out and you're consistent with that? Or, you know, had you fallen off? Or, you know, I mean, talk to me a little bit about what's happening fitness-wise and health-wise in that moment.
It's very, very interesting. Everybody, you see me now and I'm in good shape and in good health. You can't see it, but I'm telling you, but it wasn't the case when I got into that desk job. It was weird because I was no longer physically tired. I was mentally tired.
Wow.
when you're mentally tired, it affects how you feel physically. I didn't want to work out. I was done at the end of the day. Possibly could it have been because I wasn't fulfilled in my work and I wasn't happy to go to work. So it dragged on. And by the time I was done, I just wanted to sit in front of the TV, watch all my different shows that I watch a movie, relax, or go out with friends, something that I could just be mindless about. I didn't go into the gym. I didn't use the gym or fitness as my release, which I try to encourage my clients to do. But I realized from personal experience, even being an athlete, even having so much experience with working out, I didn't do it myself. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things.
What were your eating habits like during this time?
Oh, well, I don't know if a lot of you guys out there have this, but I am an emotional eater. I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm sad. I eat when I'm bored. For some reason, I love food. I love it so much.
For some reason.
It is what it is. I've learned to deal with it, to manage it, but then to allow yourself to do what you love. If you love food, eat some good food, but just know that, just balance it out. However, so when I'm emotionally tired from a day's work, I would go to the quick and bad stuff. I didn't meal prep. I didn't really like cooking at the time. So I would order a lot. I would eat out a lot. And to be honest, yes, there are certain menu items that are good for you. But when you see all the other menu items that you just love, especially if you love food as much as I do, it's hard. It's like, it's a tug of war, and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to get the burger and fries because I love burger and fries. Or I'm just going to get the pizza because this is a pizza and pasta place. What am I doing getting a salad, right? Yeah. I need to get what they're good at. It wasn't good. My eating habits weren't good.
So I got to ask you, because you've lived in multiple countries and in multiple places, what is your favorite American food?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I like a lot of food. Favorite American food? Oh, I'm sorry. It's got to be, is it American technically? New York style pizza. I lived in New York for a year. I would say New York pizza. There's something about that pizza that you can get on almost every corner, and it is so good. It is so different.
So wait a minute though. I used to live in Chicago, so I'm gonna.
I know. I haven't been to Chicago, so listen. I haven't been to Chicago. I haven't tried Chicago pizza, so therefore I'm basing it off of what I've had so far.
Yeah. So my family and I, my wife and I, and our kids, when we lived in Chicago, I mean, we knew where our go-to place was for pizza. They're not paying me to advertise for them right now, so I'm not going to say their name, but there's some incredible places that you can get pizza for. And you know that the pizza is good. President Obama, when he was in office, every so often he would call this particular place in town and have them ship him some of the pizza to DC. So it's incredible. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Good, I would say.
So let's figure out, based on this transition that you made, where you were basically in a hole for a little bit, health wise and eating wise, and I think it's interesting to hear you talk about this, because as you were talking, I was taking a few notes here, and it's interesting that really what's happening in your body is actually connected to what's happening mentally, what's happening spiritually, emotionally for you. And so I think sometimes, even when we're in transition, sometimes we actually try to compartmentalize our life and segment our life, when in fact, from what I hear you saying, that it's all tied together.
Right. It really is. And I try to instill this with my clients, and I try to help them understand that we have two cycles. We've got the positive cycle and we've got the negative cycle next to it. And we can jump over here and there, but it's hard to fully transition into the other way. However, one small little positive change can then bring about another positive change and another positive change. For example, let's focus on the negative side that I was on. I was mentally drained. I wasn't working out. I was eating bad. Didn't make me want to work out even more. Eating bad led to being even more mentally clouded, and vice versa, just going spiraling around and around and around. And it's kind of like, well, the chicken or the egg, right? What started it? Was it the mental side, or was it the physical side because I wasn't working out? We don't know, but I was just on that cycle, going round and round and round. And every time I tried to jump over to the positive side and do a positive change, it was just too easy to fall back into that negativity. I was developing bad habits. Habits is a big thing and something that I really want to talk about, because we definitely see habits in the negative. We talk about all these negative habits that we have, but what are some of the positive habits that we can instill? And are we trying to make changes too quickly? Are we trying to just really just leap on over there where we're just kind of losing ourselves and being like, oh, this is too new, too soon. I'm just going to go back to what I know. And then we're back on that negative circle. Right.
So man, you've thrown so much good stuff at us. So let me ask this really
all at once.
Yeah. And this is great. So let me ask this really fast. So what became the catalyst for you to break the bad habits, to break the negative cycles and start moving back into that positive cycle?
To be entirely honest, until I quit my job and I started going to school for personal training out in New York. I was at the Focus Personal Training Institute out in New York, and I learned education. I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before. Things, for example, like even something small, like start with something very small, like a very small change. Master that change, whether it's just having breakfast in the morning. If it's literally just having breakfast in the morning, because it's something that you don't do. Having something small. Okay, now do it for a week. Now having breakfast every day is just commonplace. Like, do we have to think about brushing our teeth at night or in the morning? It's just a habit. Like, we just do it, right? We don't have to plan out extra time for it. It's just automatic. So how can we make health automatic for us? Well, we have to start making small changes, but changes that we can master. Like, I'm not going to all of a sudden start working out in the gym 5 times a week off the bat. Just go in and killing it every day. You are going to rebound so hard. And you may be able to keep it up for 2 weeks or even a month or even 3 months. But there's going to come a point where you're like, oh, I just need to do what I used to do.
So when there's a goal, you got to build your capacity towards that goal.
Exactly. Yeah. And believe me, it's so easy to say and harder to do. I'm the type of person where I see the goal. I want it now. I want to do it now. I want to be full blown there already. Yeah. And I never, that cliche, enjoy the journey. I never enjoyed the journey. I had a hard time just slowing it down, taking it step by step, and not expecting things instantly.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny story, and then we'll end this session, and then we'll do a part 2. So it's really funny. So when I first started working out, going to the gym back in, I think this was 2013, maybe 2012. I had a guy from my church that volunteered to help me out and get me kind of started in the process of getting my health on track. And so he said, okay, every day I'm going to come in 30 minutes after you because I want you to spend time first getting your cardio done before I come in with you. And so he said, okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go on the Stairmaster first and do it as long as you can at level 2. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I had never been on a Stairmaster before. So I get on this thing and, I start off. And so I'm looking at the guy next to me, and the guy next to me has got to be like in his 60s. And he's doing 40 minutes at level 8 on the Stairmaster. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm young. This guy's old. I could get up to level 8. Let me knock this out. Man, I bumped it up to like level 8, and I could only last like 8 minutes. And I'm like, this is intense. And I was dripping sweat, and my shirt was soaking wet, and all of this. And so when my trainer got there, he laughed at me for an hour because he's like, you've never been on the Stairmaster. This guy's probably been on the Stairmaster for 40 years, and you're going to try to do what he's done, that he's built capacity over in 40 years, and you're going to try to do it in 2 days. It's just not going to work. So it was a major lesson for me and major takeaway. And so now, here we are now in 2017, and even like this morning, I did 35 minutes at level 7 on the Stairmaster, right? So build my capacity. And so maybe by the time I get to be his age, I'll be able to do that level 8. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. And you touched upon 2 very important things that I want to expand upon. And one is having that support system. You had somebody there for you that held you accountable. And even as a personal trainer now, and having the experience that I have now, and all of my background in skating and sports, I still need that extrinsic motivation. So that motivation, having someone there keeping me accountable, something on the outside that keeps me committed. And it's so important to have that, whether it's family or whether it's friends or whether you find a personal trainer, because it just so happens that maybe family and friends aren't on that healthy cycle yet, but you can be their inspiration. You could be that catalyst that spills over into friends and family, and then they can join you. But maybe you don't have that support system now, so you can find somebody.
Yeah.
It's so important. And the second thing, and I'm losing my train of thought here.
That's okay. Hey, Emmy, so get your train of thought and hold that thought, because what I want to do is I want to take this into a part 2 conversation if we can, because I got a page full of notes right here. I got a page full of notes. And so this is absolutely amazing. Listen, for those of you that are tuning in, I got Emmy Fit on here. You can follow her. I've got her social media stuff right there in the bottom of the screen. Go check her out. She posts some amazing stuff on Instagram, tips on food preparation and meal planning and exercise tips. And then she'll demonstrate it for you too, and all that kind of good stuff. And she's funny, y'all. She's absolutely funny. So go check her out. We have been talking about change, transition, and reinvention, and based all on my book, Temporary Assignments. You can go get this book from Barnes & Noble, Amazon, anywhere where books are sold, you can go get it. I want to invite you to go get it, not just because I wrote it, but even as I go back and I read the book, I realize how much wisdom God allowed and inspired me to put into this book. It's going to change your life. And as we're talking about today, your life is not different compartments. It's all one life. It's all connected together. So I got Emmy on. Y'all got to go watch part 2. We're going to come back in just a little bit and wrap up part 2. Peace.
You can have a goal or a desire or a plan, but it requires some work.